Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start on time. We'll proceed to the board. If you'd like to speak, you'll notice on your little module right here, there's a button to the right. When you press it, it'll turn green. Turn it off. Green. Call to order. Please rise, and for the pledge of allegiance, we change the flag, and it's now over. My right to the left. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The public meeting of the Henry Hudson Regional K-12 Board of Education is called to order. Adequate notice of this meeting was published in the Asbury Park Press and the Star Letter in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. I'll go the numbers, and notices were forwarded to board members and were posted as required. We're going to go, actually, a statement to the public that was removed last meeting was strike that this time as well. Roll call, Ms. Sherlock, please.
Ms. Burrell? Here. Ms. Knox? Here. Ms. Kozer? Ms. Melvin?
Here.
Mr. Thomas? Here. Ms. Thomas?
Here.
Ms. Wells? Mr. Wingirter? Mr. Colangelo?
Present.
Dr. Beams? Here. Mr. Bush?
Here.
Ms. Gordon? Here.
Thank you. Old business. Let's move here. We're getting under old business at the time. Reports. Student representative report. Ms. Wardon, please.
Hello. Starting with Highlands Elementary School, we have that as part of the Feel Good Friday, Ms. Keyshawn's third graders read a book of their choice for both the pre-K classes and their kindergarten classes. The program, called Buddy Readers, allows students the opportunity to establish a rapport with their younger peers, help build their reading fluency, and build a sense of community within their school. Students celebrated Random Acts of Kindness Week from February 10th to February 14th. Throughout the week, social-emotional awareness lessons focused on how just one random act of kindness can positively impact someone. Each day of the week also included a theme. Monday was Team Up for Kindness by wearing your favorite jersey. Tuesday was Dress Like You Are 100 Years Old to celebrate the 100th day of school. Wednesday was Flex Your Kindness by wearing World Cup clothes. Thursday was Dreaming of Kindness by wearing your favorite PJs. And Friday was Have a Heart for Kindness by wearing red or pink. The Kids Heart Challenge is underway and the fundraising efforts are in full swing. Students are raising money and awareness to promote heart and brain health while also learning life-saving skills such as hands-only CPR. As part of the fun, the top two fundraising classes will get to silly strings with conductor Jay, while the top fundraising class gets to pie them in the face as part of the school-wide assembly on February 26th. From Atlantic Highlands Elementary School, we have that you guys have to huddle up and help out. From January 28th to February 12th, the AHES Student Council and STARS program hosted a winning supply drive to support our local community. Just like a championship team, they came together to assemble 17 women's and 14 men's essentials bags filled with game-winning items: shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste, individual bars of soap, toothbrushes, deodorant, razors, and lip balm. Plus, they'll all be donating to the Adult Socks Club during October. The effort didn't stop there. They also had a touchdown amount of extra supplies to donate to community members in need. In true football fashion, students got in the game by voting for their Super Bowl prediction. With 35 votes for the Eagles and 32 for the Chiefs, the students' vote kicked off a win for the Eagles. Ms. Playa and Ms. Voorhees sent a huge thank you to everyone who scored a win for their community with their support. Go Birds. From Henry Hudson Regional School, congratulations to the freshman STEAM Academy students for qualifying into the regional round of the STEAM team competition with our product, the Eco Sorter. The STEAM Academy would like to thank the Henry Hudson Education Foundation for their generous grant, allowing the STEAM Academy to purchase new calculators and TI robots. These robots will benefit all levels of the STEAM Academy and the game design class by allowing students to explore coding and circuitry. The Henry Hudson Music Department hosted the Bayshore Honor Band concert this year on Wednesday, February 5th. Middle school students from Keyport, Union Beach, Keensburg, and Henry Hudson school districts participated in the annual honor band performance. A jazz, woodwind, and percussion ensemble performed, along with the main concert band group. The cafeteria was full of supporting families, friends, and fellow students who were there to support these communities. A special thanks to the Admiral Music patrons for helping with logistics and to fund dinner for the students, as well as high school triumph music students Danny Nino, Shayla Higgins, Alex Belusco, Aurora O'Neill, and Alex Estrada for their help in making the concert happen. The HHRS Admiral players have begun rehearsals for the upcoming middle school musical, SpongeBob. When the citizens of Bikini Bottom discover that a volcano will soon erupt and destroy their humble home, SpongeBob and his friends must come up to save their fate in their undersea world. With lives hanging up in the balance and all hope lost, a most unexpected hero rises up. The power of optimism can really save the world. Performances are April 4th at 7 p.m. and April 5th at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. Tickets are available at the door or in advance by going to CUR8, like the number.com and searching HHRS. The Health Careers Club held a gift card raffle through the ALS Association. Blake Lewis and Finley Reese sold raffle tickets at lunch. School staff and community members also gave generously. The club was proud to raise $250 for the ALS Association. On February 10th, Mrs. Wallen's AP Bio and Science Club students braved the cold and took a trip to the end of Sandy Hook. They met with Kendall Brockelman, Sandy Hook's community volunteer ambassador park ranger, and volunteers of the SEAL team to observe the migratory seal populations. Students recorded 19 harbor seals hauling out on the rock jetty and 5 harbor seals swimming in the water, noting injuries on 2 seals. They were lucky to witness a seal displaying hunting or play behavior by leaping out of the water. Students' data and observations were submitted to the Save Coastal Wildlife Seal Monitoring Program. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Beams.
All right, good evening, everybody. So just a couple things. Tonight we are going to have a presentation by Dr. Timothy Teehan. He is our New Jersey School Board's rep and former superintendent in the state of New Jersey. So he will be presenting to the Board of Strategic Planning, which is something that we talked about last meeting. So he is here tonight. We continue to get hit hard by the flu, COVID, other respiratory infections. Our absentee rates are up. Please make sure we're washing our hands. If we don't feel good, we're not going around others and spreading our germs. It is a very busy germ season right now. As everybody is aware, we have had high rates of the flu, also pneumonia. So please just make sure, stay healthy. If you are concerned, keep your child home, stay in touch with the nurse. But it is a very germy season right now, and our weather is all over the place as well, which doesn't always help. I know, you don't like to bundle up sometimes, but the weather is a little crazy, so please. Speaking of the weather, I wanted to thank the Atlantic Highlands and the Highlands DPWs and our custodial staff, Mr. Neggers. We had 2 delayed openings. We had some winter weather, and they have been amazing in getting our schools ready, the streets ready for us to come to school, so we don't miss a day of instruction. So I wanted to thank all of them. It is not easy. We're up very early in the morning, tracking weather patterns and being in constant communication, so thank you to all of them. I wanted to reiterate what Ms. Bourdain said about the Bayshore Honors Band. It was absolutely fantastic. It is amazing that groups of musicians from all of these different middle schools, after only 4 rehearsals with teachers that they've never been taught by before, can come together and put on such a fantastic concert. We were very lucky to host this year, and the hill was packed and full of music, and the kids, having only 4 rehearsals together in different student groups and ensembles, were absolutely amazing. I would be remiss not to thank Mr. McGill and Mrs. Furta, who are 2 music teachers that assist every year with the Bayshore Honors Band, all of our students that participated, the families that were here. It was absolutely phenomenal. Also this week, I had the privilege to attend the Girls and Women in Sports Day sponsored by the Shore Conference Tournament. Coach Pritchard, Ms. Doingert, and we were represented by Ava Santoro, Shaylin Higgins, and Lily Thorne, who spent a day with other female athletes throughout the Shore Conference from all of the schools representing the Shore Conference, where they listened to speakers, they had breakout sessions talking about their experiences of being female athletes. The ADs and other administrators from across the Shore Conference were there as well, participating with the students, and it was really, really a great day of empowerment, and we are so proud of our 3 female students that represented us. We are currently working on next year's school calendar. We are waiting for Monmouth County Vocational School District to release their calendar so that we can align our 2 calendars. And then we are getting some feedback from our teaching staff and our administrators, so that will be on our agenda for next month. The other big thing that we are working on right now is obviously the annual budget. So we have probably been in budget season since October, but now all of the pieces are coming together. Budget this year is tricky in the state of New Jersey. Number one, we've been told that we will see cuts in our federal funding. We have been told to budget only to 75% of what we were funded last year. So that's a loss of about $100,000 in federal funds, but that's just a guess. It could be lower, but we are being told, and in some federal funding we do know that it will be lower, somewhere maybe closer to 40 to 60%. But we are being asked to budget at 75% less than we received last year, and the state is signaling either flat or a loss in state aid. So we just received a special broadcast from the Department of Education on Friday, which pretty much signals that we should all be planning for a reduction in aid. However, they are saying that that reduction would be no more than 3% of what our aid was this year. So we could be looking at additional state aid loss at about $35,000. So budgeting is tricky this year with kind of not knowing what the state numbers or the federal numbers are going to be. But we've been alerted to this probably for the last couple months by both the county and the state office, so we have been planning accordingly. And that is my report.
Thank you, Doctor. Next item on the agenda is the Business Administrator's report. Ms. Sherlock, please.
Thank you. I just have a short one. I just wanted to point out that on tonight's agenda is the long-range facilities plan to have it prepared for by SSP architects. And I just want to explain that that is to bring together the 3 districts' long-range facilities plan into one for the combined district. And that will set our goals for needs for the next 5 years in facilities for the Northern District.
Thanks. I am going to forego a president's report and lean on the board members and committee chairs to speak tonight about their individual committees. First up is the Regionalization Committee. Ms. Knox, please.
Yes, okay. We had a meeting on February 3rd, as indicated on the agenda. We met with Dr. Beams and Mr. Bush. During the meeting, the new board members were given a history of regionalization and Seabright's involvement in that. We also discussed the current petition that Seabright and Highlandsboro has before the commissioner, but there's nothing for the Board of Education to consider at this time until we get further communication from the Department of Education. So we wait.
Does any board member that was not on that committee have any questions? Ms. Melvin?
I have a question. One, I guess, is more of a suggestion. I know that some of us are very, 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 very familiar with regionalization, having served in the board in different times and capacities since when this really, this latest started in maybe 2018, 2019. But it would be, I think, helpful, even if it were in executive session, because I know some of the information is not available to the public. If we could have a real primer on that. And I know that a lot of folks prefer our our committee meeting setup, this is just an example, I'm just making an observation. I believe that if we had a meeting structure where we had a committee of the whole meeting and then followed by maybe 2 weeks later a regular board meeting when we voted on action, that all of the board could feel more versed in what's going on in the district. Like you just mentioned litigation with Seabright, or a decision. I literally have no idea what you're talking about. And I know that even if the district isn't required to act, I feel like as a member of the board, if somebody said to me, hey, I heard this Seabright, blah, 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 the last I heard, was a while ago, and maybe that's shame on me. But, I think the more information we have, the better, and that would be good. And I did have a question. Going back to the superintendent's report, and maybe this is not a question.
One second. Can we go back there to the board comment section, talk about that as we go a little bit further on? And when we go back to the public comment section, just do it at that.
I just noticed I'm going to forget.
Take notes, that's a good idea.
All right.
No problem.
Hold on. Thank you, Ms. Knott.
Next up will be the Instruction and Programs Committee report. Mr. Winger.
Hey guys, we met on February 10th as Dr. Beams, Ms. Kozik, Ms. Kane Wells, Ms. Melnick, and myself. I want to talk about two things that kind of came from regionalization. So one, the elementary schools essentially achieved full program alignment in all content and curricula, instructional practices, master schedules across gifted, talented, responsive intervention, and instruction of multi-language learners. RTI and ASI intervention services were standardized, dedicated math and reading interventionists at both schools. And then PD, our professional development, is also delivered equally to both schools for all new initiatives and expectations. And then for the extracurricular activities, which is what we talked about at the last meeting, contract negotiations that we just went through allowed us to essentially have identical club offerings at both elementary schools. So some examples, I know kids were excited about this, we had safety patrol at Manhattan, which is very exciting, and then Highlands got intramurals. I think the intramurals sounds more exciting than safety patrol is out there. So safety is very important. We also are talking about a joint 6th grade stepping up ceremony planned at Hudson this year. It's not something we've done before. And then the Count Basie work that we talked about was contracted with both of the elementary schools for their school plays. Discussions happened around the 6th grade transition planning. So there's potential implementation that's delayed until the 26-27 school year. We talk about planning, which may include like a school within a school up here, separating potentially 6, 7, 8 from the high school. There will be surveys and focus groups that are going to be planned to essentially hear from the community, students, and their parents. There's obviously some budgetary and logistical concerns as to how we actually make this happen. So this is something that everyone wants. We're hoping to have a plan, a decision at least about a year from now, February of 2026. And then I want to talk about the special education program. There's a restructuring plan for 25-26. So we're opening a new ADA program for autistic students at Highlands, and then there's a continuation of 2 LLD classes continuing at Highlands. I'm going through a lot of acronyms, which I'm trying to use the word but if you guys need anything, just come to me after. So the LLD and the self-contained program is starting at Henry Hudson for grades above 9 to continue LLD instruction from the 7th and 8th grade class. And we have focused on community-based instruction for the upcoming 10th to 12th grade classes. And then last but not least, our STEAM Academy. So this year we had a record of 32 applications. There were 31 qualified students, I want to say, so we offered those spots, and those are the largest potential class. As for the program itself, we've added full year classes at each grade level. We've talked about Project Lead the Way for more specific engineering classes, and then we've also diversified the instructional staff. That's me. Thanks.
Would it be fair to say that all this is possible because of the work on the contract with the teachers all being all in the same line right now?
Yeah, I can take credit for that.
How much of a monumental thing that was to get done there, sir?
We have some fans who are proud to, right? Yes.
That would be fair to say, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Does anybody else have any other questions in reference to this?
May I add to that as a member of the committee? I thought it was a really efficient committee where meeting where there was a tremendous amount of information provided, and all of it, I think, is about leading the district in a direction where we're going to have our students really truly aligned. I think to say that we've achieved alignment suggests that, what we kind of all know, that there are pros and cons in both of our districts in elementary school, but they haven't really been equitable and equal. So I'm happy that this board is taking that seriously and wants to move forward with that. I think that the more we hear about activities happening together with our students, I might have just pushed the button. The more we hear about activities going on with our students together, the better. It's awesome that we have similar curriculum offerings, or the same. Wow, the same, truly the same. But I'd like the board to consider, as we're talking about like a year from now, we're going to really seriously be looking at realignment of 6th grade. I'd like the board to really consider, we have time, there's no rush on this, to envision a future where we don't just have those two programs happening 3 miles apart, but they're happening in the same building, so that they truly are equal to everyone. I know that the district where I taught, I think we had 4 elementary schools, and in some elementary schools they weren't able to provide a club simply because they didn't have the resources. We're really fortunate where we have a relatively low elementary school population, and the geography of it is pretty simple. If you go to Hudson and you live in Atlantic Highlands, you take a bus right past Highlands Elementary School. So I'd just like to ask the board, as we're going forward and we're thinking about policy and we're going into strategic planning and we're hearing all of these programs that we're doing collaboratively and how much improvement it's doing for our students on so many levels, how we can really bring that to another level by having our students physically in the same buildings as they go through elementary school and middle school and high school. Thank you.
Any other board member, any questions, comments in reference to instruction program? Okay, next up is the policy committee report. Ms. Belknap.
Right, so since I was chitty-chatting about a lot of stuff, I'll keep this pretty short. And fortunately, policy is pretty short because policy generally is looked at, before it's looked at by the board, by lawyers, by professionals who literally that is their job to write policy. And so we as a board have a service that we trust. We've been using them forever. Every school board just about in America, well, I don't know America, but New Jersey uses them. And then the administration and the superintendent, look at what's best for their buildings. It's not the job of the board to dictate what should be happening in the buildings every day. We just want to make sure that it's what's best for our students and our faculty and our staff. So there are a lot of policies coming up, but most of them are mandated. Most of them have been written for us by professionals who know way better than we do. That being said, a really special thing that I think we all appreciate about living in Highlands and Atlantic Highlands is that our communities are very, very small. And every once in a while, there may be a policy that doesn't suit us, or we may get a policy recommendation from our service, Strauss Esme, and we have options. And I think it's important for us as a board, because we're very, very different from a lot of other districts, that I don't have any recommendations right now. I think the policy committee did a pretty good job of making recommendations, and you have your own time to look them over. But if you see something that you're like, wait a minute, I have a question about that, please, it doesn't have to be me. You can reach out to anybody in the committee, but reach out to me or someone in the policy committee, the board, if you have some questions. Because truly, we have a lot of jobs to do. We have responsibilities as board members, but policy, at the end of the day, it's us. It's signed by the Board of Education, it's created by the Board of Education, and we get great recommendations from the administration, from the superintendent, but it's our policy, it's our community, and we are the ones who are voting on it. So I want all of us to make sure that when there are policies that are set forth that are going to be here for decades, some policies you look at, last time it was revised was in the 1900s. So it's an important responsibility, and I appreciate it, and we'll be voting in a couple of meetings today. It's just a first reading. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Melnick. Does anyone have any questions for this policy or for Ms. Melnick and Ms. Pop? Great. As she stated, this is really at the genesis. Next up is Mrs. Thomas
for Finance and Facilities Committee.
Hi. We had our finance and facilities meeting last Wednesday, I think, or Thursday. And attending was myself, Mrs. Sherlock, Dr. Beams, Justin Thomas, and Corey Gregory. Mrs. Welsh was absent. The committee met to discuss the preliminary 25-26 budget. Mrs. Sherlock offered an overview of what will be included in the budget. She and Dr. Beams offered clarification to the new members about board-related terminology and constants. The agenda included revenue sources, grants available, tentative budget details, as well as preliminary discussion of overall needs and options. Because this is a newly formed district, the SSP architects are preparing, as Mrs. Sherlock said, a new 5-year plan, long-range plan for facilities. And that combines the needs of all 3 schools in the district. This plan will reflect facility work completed and future potential projects. Mrs. Sherlock will offer the budget to the Board of Education at our March meeting after the state aid numbers are released and all other available information is considered. At this time, the budget, at the March meeting, at this time, the budget will be set before it is presented to the public. I feel it was a really productive meeting, respectful meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Thomas. Any good news about projects on the horizon you want to talk about? Some stuff that's happening, should help us know some of the things that are in the hopper?
Well, they're considering some, just making sure, we are looking at improving, we have a grant for the fields. Hopefully we'll have dugouts for the teams. Right now they have places to sit but nothing to cover their heads in the heat and all. There's some extra money, or there's money that has been held over that will be used to evaluate possibly the field up at the elementary school that could be used for other things for the whole district. And I thought that was kind of exciting.
We're also replanting the elementary over the summer, correct? Replanting the bricks?
Yes, we're putting all the bricks. I forgot about that. That was like before I got here. Things like that. There's lots of stuff going on in the facilities. It was good. We have the director of the building, and he's overlooking all of the 3 buildings and the work being done.
Great. Ms. Kozik is not here tonight, but to my knowledge, the personnel committee did not meet for obvious reasons. There's nothing really to deal with at that point in time. We do have a matter of a principal's report on the agenda. Do either of the 3 principals have a report? Thank you, gentlemen. Next item on the agenda, presentations, recognitions, and awards. Student of the Month and Anchor Awards. Mr. Jack Doe, do you mind? For Christopher Parker.
Yeah, let's go.
Student of the Month.
All right, fantastic.
All right, Chris, the pressure's off. You already made a walk up here and trip, so you're good. All right, so obviously by now we know that Christopher Parker is our EGS Student of the Month, but I'd like to take this time to say some really nice things about Christopher because I'm honored here to talk about him, and I want to make sure he gets his due. So one thing about Chris is his attitude, his outstanding attitude and his dedication to learning. Oftentimes, even when he's feeling that frustration of not getting it, one thing about Chris is he is patient and respectful, and he keeps getting at it, getting after it, and for his efforts, he earned an honor roll. Am I correct on that? So, Chris and also to that end, not only is he kind and respectful and pushing through things, but he sets a great example for other students to do the same. So, really, really happy to honor Mr. Christopher Parker this evening as our Student of the Month.
Congratulations, Christopher. Mr. Parisi from Atlantic Highlands Elementary, please. For Lily Lawson.
In the crowd. Well, the Lawson's one shall emerge tonight as Student of the Month. Lily Lawson. So Lily, this is what your teachers had to say about you. Lily is an extremely hard-working student who excels in all subject areas, but has shown exceptional growth and dedication when it comes to math. Her enthusiasm for learning, her positive attitude, and willingness to assist her classmates makes her a role model in the classroom. Congratulations, Lily. Keep up the amazing work.
Please smile. Look at Bob. Congratulations.
AP for HHRS for the Athlete of the Month, Mateo Mosco.
So Mateo Mosco, we are celebrating as the Hudson Athlete of the Month. However, he was also Titan of the Week after their wrestling match against Freeholborough. So those of you that don't know, our co-op this year is with Keansburg for wrestling. It's a better program. It's a program on the rise, and it gives our athletes a little better opportunity to learn some proper wrestling and get after it. And if you don't know, there are 14 weight classes in a wrestling match. So as Keansburg was wrestling Freeholborough, it came down to the very last bout, which happened to be Mateo here. And he had to bump up because they have a kid. Anyway, you guys don't care about the particulars. But they bumped Mateo up to 190. And he earned a clutch victory, getting the match-winning takedown with 30 seconds left in the bout, allowing himself not to win not only a 6-5 victory, but the team won 34-32, coming down to that last bout.
Congratulations. Way to go. Look at that. Take a picture. Thank you.
And the next item on this side is the Artist of the Month from Henry Hudson Regional School, Mr. McCarthy.
So we'll jump to Student of the Month. If I can have Aurora O'Neill come up. Aurora is genuinely interested in her education and mindfully engages in the curriculum both in and outside of the classroom. Recently, she decided to embrace and enhance her writing abilities, taking on risks and challenging herself in a new genre. Her modesty, curiosity, and respect for her peers and teachers showcase her as an excellent student here at Henry Hudson, and we are very proud to celebrate her as Student of the Month. If I could please have Evie Knox come up here. So what I was going to say is that today Evie was going to represent us in the regions for Poetry Out Loud, and I'm very happy to say that she has won the for Poetry Out Loud, and while this is impressive as it stands, she also participates in many arts programs, including teen arts. She just finished production of The Tempest at the Two River Theater. I don't know where she finds all this time. Her ability to do well in school and perform in various commitments in and outside of Hudson showcases her adaptability and grit. Furthermore, her various dedications highlight her love, creativity, and devotion to the arts, and we wish her a continued journey in the Poetry Out Loud as she heads to stage. Congratulations.
As the principals come back up here, the next item on the agenda is the Staff Member of the Month for each school. First to be Hudson.
All right, I am proud to recognize tonight our Staff Member of the Month, Ms. Lori Anderson. We would like to recognize Ms. dedication and kindness in supporting both students and staff. As a paraprofessional in Ms. Herzl's pre-kindergarten class, she plays a vital role in creating a positive and structured learning environment. Ms. Anthony, as I noticed firsthand, is very patient with those little pre-K students, and very warm and welcoming to them, and of course makes it so the classroom is a nice place to be for our children. Ms. Anthony generously volunteers also her time with the PTO, helping to organize events and enrich the school community. Her commitment and calm presence make a lasting impact at HES. Congratulations, Laura.
Mr. Priest, Mr. Priest.
All right, I'd like to welcome, I don't know if you want to say, Lisa Commander. Come on. Sixth grade is a very important year, especially at our two schools, and that is the last year before they move on to come up to Hudson. It's a transitional year, and I'm very confident when our students have Ms. Commander prior to moving up to the middle school. She challenges all of our students. She's compassionate. She knows how to work with each learner, and she's a great role model for our students, and we're very lucky to have her. Thank you.
And Ms. McCarthy for HHRS, please.
Could I please have Mr. Ryan Patrick come up here, please? He came straight here from the Lakewood game at Lakewood, so he's doing the
Putting his
today.
stats in the back so we could get that in.
So, Mr. Patrick puts forth an incredible effort here with Hudson Athletics and his classes. He is dedicated to making the most for his teams and his students, and every season he coaches, he makes new connections with students. He recently, I know who wrote this by this line, he recently had a lovely senior night planned for his athletes. Additionally, he participated in a varsity basketball yoga session alongside his athletes as a team bonding and de-stressing activity. He is part of the glue that keeps Hudson spirited and purposeful for our students. Congratulations.
This is a presentation about the film festival entries. Wait, one of the kids want to help? That's what I would know.
What was that one? What was the other one?
Hi everyone, my name is Michael Boylan and I'm the TV production and film teacher here at Henry Hudson Regional. Sorry I couldn't be there tonight, but I wanted to talk to you about our first ever film festival here at Henry Hudson. It's going to be on Thursday, March 6th, and as a filmmaker myself, I have participated in film festivals and I've always loved how it brings a community together for the arts. And I know we're going to do that here at Henry Hudson and I'm super excited about it. We're so lucky to have so many talented students here, and I wanted to showcase and award these students with a film festival. So I can't wait to see how this event will grow in the future. Mr. McCarthy asked if I could give a little glimpse into some of the films and share with you guys that are going to be a part of the festival. The first film I'd like to show you was from my advanced film class and a little behind the scenes of how this film came about. This was for their midterm exam. I gave them a location, a classroom, a line of dialogue, which you'll see in the film, and a prop they had to use, which was an old video camera. They had 2 hours to plan, shoot, and edit this short film. I was really impressed that I encouraged them to enter it into the festival, so here's the short film, Boylan's Game.
I remember high school days, you know, dodgeball, digital video. You remember those like stupid movies we used to make all the time? Like, yeah. So bad. Tell me about that. You remember like the one guy, Mr. Bowen, dude? Yeah. Yeah, I heard that he was levitating one day during his class. Some crazy stories about him too, like jumping motorcycles through fire hoops, fighting bears and stuff like that. It's like he's a myth. It's pretty wild. A damn legend today.
Mr. Bowen recorded the entire Goonies movie on this camera.
Where did you get that? I've been sitting the entire time, and you just I heard the same thing. It's so cool.
Bowen has never lost a game of poker in his entire life. Can you believe that?
Really?
Dude, there's no way. I bet if you came here right now with all my coins, you'll never win.
No, he'd win, and you're gonna find out right now because he's right there.
Really? What?
Hey, do me in.
Okay. All right, flip him.
As a teacher, it is so exciting to teach the middle school as well. I get to see the talent before they are able to take my full year classes here in high school. For our final project in my 7th grade class from my second marking period, my class wanted to make a creepy film about a strange phone booth that is able to give out useful information, but with a cost. Here is the film, Creepy Numbers.
Okay, class, take your time. This test only has 6 questions. Best of luck to you all. Begin. Okay, class, I have your test. I am happy and surprised by some of you. Britain, I'm proud of you. Good job. There's one. Not so good.
myself.
You really do have that phone booth. I love it. There is a phone, but it doesn't work.
Thanks, folks. Now, next item on the agenda is the strategic planning presentation by Dr. Timothy Tehan. Mr. Tehan, please.
So we're just gonna, all the board members have a presentation in their folder, so while Mr. Pritchard is trying to get that to come up, we'll just go through this here. This is for the board.
Mr. Tehan, please. Yes. So my name is Tim Tehan. I'm from New Jersey School Boards. I'm happy to be here today to talk to you about strategic planning. So if you look at the packet, all the slides are in there. Fortunately for the community, if they're not, but you can post, I can send it to you, you can post it on the website if you want. So strategic planning, if you look down in the second box, it's really all about vision. It's creating a vision for your district, a roadmap of where you want to go in the next 3 to 5 years. You go to the next one. There's a list of advantages there. If you really just think about what are the advantages, it's exactly what I just said. It's a way for you as a district to really think about where you want to go. What are your strengths within the district? What are the things that you're being challenged with right now? And where do you perceive your district going in the next 3 to 5 years so that it's going to be the best district that it can be for all the students that you have? So under the why plan, there's a lot of questions there. Is your school enrollment or economics changing? Is the makeup of your school population changing? Are there more people in your community who don't have children in school and which benefit from a roadmap for the district's future? There's another one that's very specific to you guys, which is you're newly regionalized. So it makes the most sense for you guys to actually create a new strategic plan that is encompassing everything that you want for all the communities that you're serving. If you go to the next one, if you answered yes, meaning that you do want strategic planning, then strategic planning is for you. You're really looking for, setting that roadmap, this is for you. The stair-step model of responsibility is really just, when you look at that, there's a lot of different visuals that you can use for this. You can use a waterfall effect, you can use an umbrella. But if you think about it, the one that's at the very bottom where it says strategic planning goals, when you create a strategic plan, that strategic plan should not be something, a binder that just sits on the shelf. It should be an actual document that you're constantly referring to, that you're using whenever you're creating all the other goals within the district. So when you see all the other steps, district goals, Board of Education goals, administrative goals, so on and so forth. All of those are feeding into the strategic plan. They're all based upon that, and so you're always looking back to it. And when you look at the very top step, student goals which lead to increased student achievement, there you go. That's the number one thing that you really want to look at, because everything that we do in the district is really for our students. No problem. So that's a beautiful picture that you just missed. So those are all the different goals. And as I said, there we go. So back to the paper. Oh, there we go. All right. I love technology, but it doesn't always look good. But that's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about it. So when you look at the next page with the triangle, if you look at on the left-hand side where it says commitment, that's your commitment. That's your commitment as a Board of Education, because you're at the very bottom of this. You need to be committed to wanting to create a strategic plan because you think it's best for your community. The community has to be committed to it as well because they should have a say in where your district is going. So when you look at all the other parts of this triangle, that's really what's going on in each night of the strategic planning process. So when you look at the first two, information and strengths and challenges, information is the school district or the superintendent will create a state of the schools report, which is basically talking about where the district was, where the district is right now, what are the strengths of the district, and what are the challenges that you're facing. You know, you heard tonight when she was talking about budget that you're looking at possibly another reduction in funding, which is something that a lot of districts, most districts, are experiencing. So that's what's going to occur in the beginning part of it. So it's from the district perspective of where are the strengths and challenges for the district. Then you have strengths and challenges, which is where the community gets involved, and they start to brainstorm and talk together and come up with what they believe are the strengths and challenges. Sometimes they will match, and sometimes there'll be differences, and that's okay, because you want that. You're getting all these different perspectives. So then we come back for the next night, and that's the visioning and goal areas. And that's where the groups, the participants that are there, will look at where they want the next 3 to 5 years, where they want their district to be. And so that it's like featured on like a Schools That Succeeds magazine where they can say, wow, these are the awesome things that are going on here. They will also create 3 to 5 goal areas. So main areas where they're going to be focusing on goals. They'll come back for the third night, and that's when they're going to talk about the actual specific goals. So they'll actually create goal statements and also work on the strategies and objectives. So how are you going to get to achieve these goals? Because you can have goals, but if you don't actually know what you're going to do to get there, you'll never reach that goal. And then the very top is the action plans. So now that the community has given all this input into the process, they've given all this information, the superintendent and her team will go back and they will create the action plans. That's the how they're going to achieve the what, which is what the community is asking for. So who can participate in this? Basically everyone. Anyone that is currently here in the audience, anyone that's out in your community, people that don't have students that are coming to your school, but maybe they're local businesses, they can come. People that are retired within your community, they're welcome to come. And one of the people that we really love to come to strategic planning are the students, both current students and past students. Why? Because they are the consumers. They are the consumers of everything that we create within a school. That's why we're here. So why not hear from them that ground level of what's working and what's not working, what they would like to say. So anyone can participate, every board member can participate, but when you participate, you take off your board member hat and you become a community member. Your voice is no stronger than anyone else that's out there. Same thing with the superintendent or any administrators that are there, they're the same as everyone else. Everyone has an equal voice. And like I said, when you have students there, I'm going to tell you, they're very vocal, and the adults actually listen to them. So, it can be very powerful to hear what they have to say. So anyone can participate. You can go 2 slides if it's working. So this is all that's included, which is basically and you can look at this over, but it's $4,500 for the 3D program, which is what we call 3D strategic planning, 3-dimensional. And these are all the things that are included. After every single meeting, I will provide to the superintendent the outcomes, which can then be posted on the website. The participants that maybe somebody can come the first night, but can't come the next one or the one after, it doesn't matter, because if they can come 1, 2, or 3 nights, we'll take whatever anyone can come. We know everyone has busy schedules, but you want people to come to give their input. By putting the outcomes onto the website, even if you weren't there, you can see what the work was done in the previous session. And we provide that also the people that come for the next session, the second session, and the third session, we'll give them the outcomes from that as well. And then at the very end, we invite everyone that participated to come to one of your board meetings, so we have a nice big crowd, and they can, hear what was finally accomplished as a result of the strategic plan. Any questions on it? I don't know, anyone on board have any questions? Yeah. Okay. If you do, then reach
I have
out.
a question.
Yes.
How long do these, I think there's 3 meetings. Is it
Yes.
like once a week, once a month, or how?
So it's three meetings, and we usually spread them out once a month. And the first one is usually 2 hours long, and that's because you're doing the state of the schools report, and then all the other work that the participants are doing. The next 2, meeting 2 and 3, are about an hour and a half long. And we try to be respectful of that time because, once again, we know everyone has busy schedules, and so we bring them in for those specific purposes for that amount of time. I have had districts that have wanted to do it closer, so they might do it every 3 weeks instead of once a month. We can work with whatever works with your schedule.
Cool, thanks.
Yep.
I do have a question.
Yes.
So after you say you do go through your training.
Mr. Thomas, would you mind saying?
Sorry for interrupting. So after you go through, say, your training, you do this, say, every few weeks, a few months, do you do 2 touch points that the Board of Education, say, the new members, everyone throughout the next 3 to 5 years, and holding us accountable? Or does it just come to the board, community?
That's a great question. So we are not the strategic planning police, okay? You have to police yourselves. And so what we recommend actually is that at least twice a year, at the very least once a year, you as a board will have an update on the progress towards those action plan goals. So your superintendent would do it at a board meeting, which is a great way to do it because then all the community is there. And they can say, this is the stuff that we're working on, this was our plan, and this is what we achieved, and this is what we're working on next. Now, the reality is that things do happen. We know with COVID that totally turned everything upside down. We had districts that had strategic plans that had to really flip the script and go in a different direction for that year. In that case, what they did was, in many cases, they stretched it. They made it another year, they added on a year. In other cases, they said, we're really making great progress. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to continue with where we are. So, the answer to your question is absolutely, you should be checking in. You can do updates twice a year. But like I said, at least once a year at the very end is the best way of doing it, so that you can kind of say, this is where we are, and now this is our revised plan moving forward. And those action plans that you'll have will delineate, and you'll know ahead of time what work will be done and what year is going to be done.
Thank you. I have one more question.
Yeah.
I guess prior to the training taking place, or during,
Mr. Thomas, that'll pick you up pretty easily. You don't have to learn something.
Okay. Just for myself, board members in the audience, but we have access to, say, other school districts, like what has gone well for them, what hasn't gone well in the past, whether we're going to implement new strategic plans, different roadblocks we might want to know, have visibility towards prior to trying to implement these goals, and as they surface, as people bring ideas to the table and bring it.
So, a lot of school districts, not every school district, but a lot of school districts do have strategic plans, and when they create them, they generally post them on their website. So really, you can go to any district. I can give you a list of districts that have done, with us. At least I can give you a list of that. I can send that to your superintendent. She can share that with you. But every district is unique. So what their needs are might not be what your needs are. Their struggles might not be what your struggles are. So yes, you can absolutely read through them to get an idea of what's working for them or what they want to focus on. But be open to what everyone else has to say, because, like I said, you guys are unique. I mean, you guys have regionalized. You're the first one in 13 years, I think, that has regionalized. So, or emailed a lot with your BA when you guys are going through transitions. And at school boards, I asked the people that were there, hey, how are we going to do this? And they're like, I don't know, we haven't done this in 13 years.
So we kind of learned as we went along. You guys will actually be really the model for other districts that are going to go through this. So the better answer to you might be that other districts might look at your strategic plan that actually regionalize. So, you might be under a microscope, so you're going to really want to use with school boards or anybody else, whoever you use, do a really good job with it because it really benefits your students.
Thank you, Mr. Tan. All right, yes.
We talk about putting things on our websites. What are we going to do for community members that don't have kids in the school or don't access websites? Senior citizens are getting pretty good at technology. However, there are people that don't know about us because they don't access our websites. Are there things that we are going to do to try to bring that up to date?
Yes. So what I would do is I would meet with your superintendent and whoever she invites to that initial meeting. So we'll do an initial planning meeting, and at that I would give like sample letters that can be actually mailed out to different groups. If you have senior citizen centers, she can mail it to that, and they can share it in the senior citizen center.
Mr. Dan, one quick second. I didn't have a chance to tell Mrs. Thomas this yet, but I had that conversation with Highland and other guys about posting everything in common areas as well. Okay, so I apologize about that. Thank you, sir. I do appreciate it.
No, that's fine.
But postage is expensive these days.
Yes, it is. And, but you have, once again, if you're within your schools, there's like school messenger, there's a way to get things out to the community, the school community. But like I said, posting it in social media is another big area that districts will use. But even targeting your, maybe the Chamber of Commerce, sending it to them, sending it to Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, sending it to, like I said, senior citizens groups. So I have a whole list that I can share with the superintendent, and she can, based on your community, pick the ones that she wants to reach out to.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Oh, sorry, Ms. Cullen.
Of course. I just wanted to say, for those of us who weren't here, we did strategic planning 5 years ago, and it was very useful. And the strategic planning literally is like, it's expiring in 2025. So even if we didn't have a strategic plan in place right now, we probably would be doing this naturally because it just makes sense. And when we say that there's a plan, it's not this weird conceptual thing out there. It really is a big old binder, and it has tables, and I know you said this, but I think what's really great is that the tables are very specific. The person responsible for this they will be done with this by, if it isn't get done, it'll be done by this person. And so anybody here who feels like you need to keep the board accountable, you want this. Because we're going to make a contract with you, and we're going to say in 5 years, this is what the district's going to look like. And you're going to be able to come to meetings and, hopefully say, good job meeting that goal, but you're going to have a roadmap that we can all follow, all on the same page with. And I think that when we're all on the same page, we have stuff in writing, we understand our goals, we all have the same vision, or at least there's a vision that we're all going to follow. I think that's really helpful. So I think it's a great investment. And, it's not like you just are there and all you do is those 2 hours and then this process doesn't exist for you. You do a lot of work outside of the actual meetings. And I think that everybody should know that like you don't just come and say, hey guys, what do you want lunch to be? And then you're gone and then you come back in a month. And there's a lot of work on the NJSBA side to help us come up with that final document. So we're not paying for 3 hours or 6 hours. Yeah, tremendous amount of hours.
Yeah, there's a lot of time that's involved in it. But, like I said, the ultimate goal is really to give you that roadmap. And as you said, the action plans themselves are very detailed. It tells you who's responsible, what resources you're going to need, because we know everything does boil down to money. It doesn't matter what you're looking at, what you're saying you want to be included. It's going to cost money. And so there's certain things that within that plan, you might not be able to, and everyone wants everything done in the first year, but you might not be able to do it in the first year. You might have to set a plan in place where you're setting aside the resources 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line. And so maybe you'll kind of stage the things that you're going to do, what people were looking for based upon that. So the action plans are created usually by the superintendent and the team because they know actually what resources you have within the district and what you don't have. And if there's something that you don't have that you need, then they have to figure out how they're going to do that. Because remember, superintendent's always the how, you guys as a board are always the what. And so the community is like you guys in the process of the strategic planning, they're going to be the what. They're going to tell the superintendent and team really what they want for their students. And then she will figure out how that's going to happen based upon the goals that are set.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, everyone. I just want to, I know the microphones are new. We don't have to speak like this. We can take it back a little bit. It still works. Sorry, Mr. Smith, I'm not saying it's not that, but this works still. All right. Thank you, Mr. Zian. You're welcome. Next item on the agenda is public comment on the agenda items only. Does anyone from the public have any comments on the agenda items this evening? For those of you who don't know, there will be a public comment for non-agenda items after. Ms. Smith, yes. Please state your name and address if you would, miss. Hey, Mr. Pritchard. Mr. Pritchard?
Sir?
Can you throw the lights on for me?
Yes, sir. Unit Smith, 29 Leonard Avenue, Atlantic Highlands. Great meeting tonight, boy. Thank you very much. And it's nice to hear reports from each of the committee chairmen.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to ask two things. There's three under the on page 5 under the programs. There are 3 programs for Atlantic Highlands Elementary School for the kindergarten, 1st grade, and 5th grade. Are they happening in Highlands to another time, or the Highlands kids need buses?
I apologize. This is a comment section, okay? But I do want to say that. But I'm going to make a comment back to your comment, okay? As we spoke about before, thanks to the hard work of the teachers, the administration, and the previous board getting this union together, we are the genesis of getting everything in line, and we have a plan to do so. So that's the goal right now. So especially in the beginning, you'll see a couple things that aren't G'ing up because it just started happening. All right, so we're almost there.
Okay, good. Thank you kindly. I want to congratulate or thank Mrs. Miller. She kind of made me think about this with the comments she made on Mr. Winter's report. So thank you very much. I appreciate it for both of you. Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Please state your name and address. Sorry, sir. It is the small microphone now.
Bill Lockman, Wood Central Avenue, North Highlands. I would like to just comment on the just finished presentation, if that's permissible agenda item. Okay. I just want to share my experiences. I'm a lifelong educator, and I've been through several strategic planning initiatives. I've also sat on boards of education, and I can't express more enthusiastically the benefits of a strategic plan initiative. As a board member, and some of you may be experiencing this now, you may find that much of what you do feels like it's just rubber stamping because there are mandates and this, that, and the other thing. All of us get on boards of education to do best for kids, but definitely in the back of our minds, we always have things that we'd like to see done, and so we have our own viewpoints. A strategic planning initiative is one of the few times when a board of education can actually direct the future of a school district, the vision of a school district, because at its heart are your strategic plan priorities, which is usually anchored by an overarching mission. And I know it always was my experience that when we were making educational decisions, we always went back to our mission statement, and that is derived out of strategic plan as well. It's an opportunity for the board to maybe be careful not to put the cart in front of the horse. We've heard some comments this evening already about anticipated programming changes, facility changes, etc. It would be wise, I think, to take the time to be fully invested in this process, to see what the input and the needs of the community and the voice of the community weigh out. You may be surprised, it may not be what you think. It may be a slight modification of what you already think, or it might just come out the way you thought, but at least you've gone through the process and affirm what you believe you know ahead of time. Once you arrive at those visions, and that is your purview to dictate, then it's the superintendent's job to actualize that. And a board should always be careful to allow the superintendent to run the school district, and then you see that it's well run. This is your opportunity to be hands-on And then once that process is over, then it's the superintendent's job to see that it's followed through. And that's where the blueprints come, the binder that was referenced before. But that binder need not be, as we heard before, something to be slept on a shelf. This has to be a living, breathing document. But since you're at the birth of a new district, this is a great opportunity to take full advantage of this process and fully invest in what a consensus would be. And because then it's a board's vision, it's not this board member's vision or that board member's vision. And then, if nothing else, it's an opportunity to measure superintendent's effectiveness, how well we're able to map out the vision that we have for the district with regular updates along the way. Just wanted to share my opinion on that, and I wish you all well. It's a volunteer position, a thankless task, and I wish you all well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You do live in one of the boroughs, so it's our job, not just ours here, but all of ours. I agree. Okay. Thank you. Any other public comment on agenda items? My apologies, I lost my page. Okay. Next item on the agenda, the board secretary's certification. Ms. Sherlock, please. Music education is part of well-rounded education for every student, as outlined in the Every Student Success Act, and whereas the purpose of this celebration is to raise awareness of the lasting positive impact of music education on the academic, personal, and professional growth of our students, and whereas music education shapes the way our students understand themselves and the world around them, along for a deep engagement with learning, and whereas music in our schools month reminds us that school is where all children should have access to music, and whereas music educators, students, and communities throughout New Jersey demonstrate the importance of quality music education programs for the lives of young people. Whereas the state of New Jersey joins our music students, educators, communities in celebrating the power of music education. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Henry Hudson Regional School District does hereby proclaim on February 19th, 2025, the month of March, as Music in Our Schools Month, and encourages our citizens to celebrate and acknowledge every day, but especially in March, that music education is an essential part of every student's well-rounded education, as long as my kid can practice the trombone at your house. Okay? So, just kidding, just kidding. Approval of the minutes. Motion to approve the following minutes. Regular meeting minutes from 1/22/2025 and executive minutes from 1/22/2025. Any motion?
So moved.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, we do a roll call.
Ms. Burrell?
Here.
Ms. Knox?
Yes.
Ms. Koza?
Here.
Ms. Melnick?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Whitgirder? Mr. Colangelo?
Yes. Just for the recorded record, note Ms. Kozik has joined the board. It appears we have no correspondence. Faculty use requests, building and grounds. I need a motion.
Knox?
And I need a second, unless there's any discussion, please, excuse me. Do you have any discussion on this matter? No. I need a second, please.
Second.
That's Burrell. No, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Burrell?
Yes.
Ms. Knox?
Yes.
Ms. Koza?
Yes.
Ms. Melnick?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Whitgirder?
Yes.
Mr. Colangelo?
Yes. Next item is the consent agenda. The board president requests to vote on the consent agenda for the remainder of the meeting, including, statistics, HIV reports, curriculum and instruction, policy, superintendent's consent agenda, business administrator's consent agenda, personnel, and addendum if applicable. If anybody wants anything to discuss, it would have to be pulled out, but do we have a motion to vote on a consent agenda as presented in the minutes? I'm sorry. Ms. Knox for the moving. May I please have a second?
Second. Koza?
Don't scare anybody. Yeah. Any discussion?
Mr. Colangelo, I would like to discuss very briefly item 16I. Business administrator's consent agenda.
Okay. Ms. Mellon, for the public that is on the copy, that's the tuition rates for out of municipality schools. Ms. Mellon?
My question, I guess, to the board is how are these numbers determined?
I would assume that's Mrs. Sherlock, correct?
The number was determined years ago when and then we do an increase to the prior year. So this year is the prior year increase of 5% from last year's tuition. It does not go on cost per pupil because the cost per pupil is very high and we do not pay.
And when you say cost per pupil,
We were to do it out of the budget. So this is an analysis that was done to compare to other districts, what they charge. These are filling open seats, so it is an empty seat, so it is, and then we put it to the county superintendent and he has to.
Do you know when that analysis was done of how much we should be charging to come here out of district?
There's no should be, it's a decision of the board to decide how much.
Well, the should be comes from the analysis, right? We give analysis, we finish analysis, and then we're like, what you should charge is. So you just mentioned there was analysis done, I'm just asking, do you know how long ago?
I think we set that tuition 5 years ago, I think it was, and then since then, we've given increases over the last 5 years.
So like a $9,000, 450 tuition, next year will go up 5%.
No, next year it'll be a decision of what it goes up, this year.
So in other words, it's analyzed every year. It's analyzed every year.
Oh, analyzed.
So the administration, so Mrs. Sherlock and I look at our budgetary needs, we look at where we've been tracking with our enrollment for tuition-based students. This year, because of the increase in health insurance, some of the things that we're seeing, the cuts in state aid and federal aid, the increase in our teacher salary, health insurance, energy, we thought that we should do a 5% increase from last year. This then is given to the county superintendent and they take a look at it comparatively. So this is pretty much on par with where other districts are. Again, it's not based on a per pupil budgetary cost because kids come with different needs. That's not really a true number all the time. But this, we want to make it attractive so that we can get those extra students to come here on a tuition basis. So the analysis of how much we feel we should be increasing the tuition usually comes from Mrs. Sherlock and I, the administration, looking at our budgetary needs and what we think would be appropriate based on increases that we're seeing within the district.
And I just want to make sure I understand this. That analysis is done every year?
Yes, so every year we've had an increase.
Because I feel like I just heard it hasn't been done.
It's just a question, if you ask a question, let him answer. You don't even let her answer.
So the analysis was done about 5 years ago, and a tuition rate was set.
Okay.
So then we keep looking at that tuition rate internally. That was the basis, right? So we've increased that every year, and then we give it to the county office, who then would say to us, "You're not in line, you are in line." So there's multiple aspects of that. So this is what, as an administrative team, we are recommending for our tuition rates.
Thank you.
If that's all the discussion that's required right now, we need a roll call. Ms. Sherlock, please.
Ms. Burrell? Yes. Ms. Knox?
Yes.
Ms. Kozak?
Yes.
Ms. Melnick?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wingberger?
Yes.
Mr. Colangelo?
Yes. Any new business? Any board member have any new business? Public comment. Now's the time for public comment that are on items that are not on the agenda. All right, so if anyone has a public comment, please make it now. Mr. Fisher, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Colangelo. Mark Fisher, 91 Third Avenue. As I stated at the last meeting, this district getting to step 2, letting the voters decide, hopefully is also a top priority for the regionalization committee and also a top priority for the full board. But obviously it doesn't come without a lot of work. Going back to March 2023, in a letter from Dr. Beams to Commissioner Alan McMillan at the time, she stated that while the goal and focus of the boards of education are appropriately on making decisions for our current constituent communities, families, students, staff, we also have been open to working towards the possibility of welcoming students from Seabright into the newly formed PK through regional district, PK through 12 district. And to state our intention, she listed step 1 is forming the new regional school district, which has been done. And step 2, expanding the membership of the PK through 12 district to Seabright, but only when and if the Commissioner of Education approves Seabright's withdrawal from the current district's Shore Regional High School and Oceanport District. Not long after that, the Monmouth County Superior Court decided in favor of Seabright filing a joint petition, but right after that, Shore and Oceanport filed a motion with the New Jersey Appellate Court. And prior to the three tri-district boards dissolving, their presidents signed an agreement along with the Henry Hudson Transitional Board President and the presidents of Shore Regional and Oceanport Boards of Education. And in that document, it states that the tri-districts agree that they shall either join or support the filing of any petition to the New Jersey Commissioner of Education to enlarge the newly created all-purpose Henry Hudson Regional School District for the purpose of including the borough of Seabright, nor submit a referendum question to their voters regarding enlarging the district, creating all-purpose Henry Hudson Regional School District, nor participate or join the borough of Seabright in any further regionalization feasibility study unless and until the borough of Seabright files a formal petition with the Commissioner of Education seeking its separation from Oceanport and Shore, and then actually receiving formal approval from the Commission to separate from Oceanport by virtue of the final agency decision and separate Shore Regional as well by the same type of decision. In November of 2024, Dr. Beams sent a certification letter to Dr. Richens, he's the county representative from the State Department of Education, the interim executive county superintendent, on behalf of the transitional board, responding to his request for information in response to Seabright's petition seeking approval for contingent withdrawal of Seabright from Shore Regional and Oceanport school districts. In that document, a very thorough document, there was 36 concerns that Dr. Beams listed. However, in item number 35, there was 12 specific questions that she wanted answered. And these are such things as the tax levy apportionment, the equitable tax relief, exact number of students for the first 5 years as well as years 6 through 10, how far the children reside from the school, how many of the students have learning disabilities, how many have IEPs, how many are in out-of-district setting. You can see these are very specific questions that the superintendent needs to help figure out how to run a business for the next year and 3 to 5 years out. On October 1st, the appellate court also finds in favor of Seabright. Shortly after that, Shore Regional and Oceanport filed a motion with the New Jersey Supreme Court, which brings us to today. The Monmouth County Superior Court judge weighed all of the evidence of the Commissioner of the Department of Education, and hearing arguments from all parties, found her decision allowing Seabright to move forward as being the right decision and complying with the new law. After that, the three judges of the New Jersey Appellate Court, after weighing the Commissioner's decision, the decision of the County Superior Court judge, and hearing arguments from all parties, unanimously agreed that the Department of Education Commissioner made the right decision, as was the Superior Court's determination. In my opinion, the motion filed before the New Jersey Supreme Court will be decided quickly and give utmost deference to the Department of Education Commissioner and the four judges before them, and quickly, in my opinion, also conclude to uphold the Department of Education Commissioner's decision allowing Seabright to move forward. So in closing, in short of Shore and Oceanport petitioning the United States Supreme Court, this regionalization committee and this board hopefully will have all of their ducks in a row, ready with Dr. Beam's concern addressed, and to move forward to have the referendum questions ready for submission 5 months from today, in July, for the step 2 vote in November to let the voters decide to bring Seabright into the district. Thank you.
Mr. Commissioner, I would like to comment on your comment, if you don't mind. As you noted, the concerns voiced by the doctor in a review of the certification are absolutely valid. Yep. Unlike the law, which is up to interpretation, math is not. All right. But with that being said, before any time is obviously spent on this, we need the help of the individual 3 boroughs. One, with Seabright answering the questions. We absolutely would be wasting time to proactively do something in hopes that something happens unless each of the Atlantic Highlands and Highlands councils, they haven't even acknowledged that they're willing to work together on this formula. All right, so we could spend our time right now doing all the work in the world, but we have not heard if they're willing to work together at this point. So that's probably step 1 as a board member, not a president of the board. But in my opinion, before spending this time and effort, I personally, as a board member, would need to see something from the individual municipalities. And absolutely, I would need to see Dr. Beam's questions asked, because without that, you can't do the math, as I'm sure you know.
Can I make one more comment?
Sure, sir, just real quick, if you don't mind.
Would Dr. Richens at the county and state level be someone?
You gotta come back up, Mark. Mr. Fisher, we can't hear you.
Sorry. Would Dr. Richens at the state level be a key person to compel Shore Regional and Oceanport to answer those 12 questions that Dr. Beam?
I'm going to leave that up to actually Dr. Beam to answer and Mr. Bush to answer because they have more experience with him. Mr. Bush, Dr. Beam, can you look, please?
So the process that happens now that everything has been submitted, all of the requests for an answer by Dr. Richens have been submitted at this point. Dr. Richens is the county executive superintendent, so he has 60 days to review all of the documentation that comes in, and then he doesn't necessarily make the decision. He makes a recommendation on how to proceed that then is sent up to the commissioner, and there is no time limit on that. So the commissioner and it's a new commissioner now, a different commissioner, so it was Angela McMillan, now it's Kevin Deemer. So, and there's pretty much a whole new staff at the DOE, because they change, regularly. They then will review everything, and then he will issue some kind of decision. So, if they were to say, hey, you need to give them this information so that they can go back and make a decision, that would have to come from them. I can't guarantee that I don't know what they're going to do. All I know is that Dr. Richens. He's the first step. He reviews everything. He then makes that recommendation, and then it's in the commissioner's hands.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Fisher. Anybody else before we enter executive session?
May I comment on your comment to the comment?
Sure.
It's just related to what Mr. Fisher said and what you said, and I just want to make it very clear that there are constituents in Highlands who see things differently today than they did a year ago. Because, and I remember when we were asked to show up and vote, and the refrain over and over again was, all we're waiting for is the Commissioner of Education to say Seabright can join, and we're going to do it. That's the only thing. Step one, regionalize the 3 districts. Step 2, the minute they say that we're ready to regionalize, we're going to go for it. And slowly, over the last year, I've heard that changing. I've heard caveats. I've heard people...
Constituents, not other people.
Sure. I've heard people who were on the board during the regionalization vote saying, we're just waiting for the Commissioner of Education. And now the board that I am sitting on is delivering a different message. That, no, we're not just waiting for, we're waiting for populations. We're waiting for a number of special education students, which again I find on the surface sounds discriminatory. We want to know how far away they live. Those were things that no one, please if you can produce that list of caveats and qualifications put out by the board and the Friends of Regionalization, please show it to me. Could you not? Because you interrupted me last week and I'm almost done.
Ladies, if you don't mind, Ms. Kozik, absolutely when she's finished, I welcome your comments, okay, please.
The observations I've made, and I guess you'll hear the counterpoint, is what the voters were told before the special election, which I believe we were also told that would be paid for and it wasn't, is now what we're being told today. And I wish that we would get on the page where we were saying, this is the first step, just do this, just regionalize this, and then we're good to go. Thank you.
Ms. Kozik.
Thank you, sorry that I interrupted you.
It's okay.
I would like to address the fact that when I was on the board prior to this term, we did list those areas of concern that Dr. Beams brought up, and the board also brought up multiple times on multiple different levels and multiple different channels. So I think it's unfair, to say that those items were never brought up. Touching upon the special education part being discriminatory, as an educator and somebody who wants to run a very efficient budget for the school, you need to know how much you are going to spend on special education students. We already spend an astronomical amount. I want to know as a board member, how many are there and what's going to come out of our budget to pay for them. We have been saying this from the day one of this regionalization piece. So I think for that to be said out loud in a public forum is completely incorrect. And I felt the need to bring that up.
So that's a deal breaker then? If the special education students are too expensive, we won't regionalize with Seabright?
No, listen, folks.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
One second, okay? Right now, it's not a deal breaker, all we're requesting.
I'm asking her to clear up her comment, not you to explain what she just said.
No, I'm not explaining what she said.
Could you give her a moment to
I
reply?
will in 1 second, Ms. Melnick, because you're commenting off of my comment, so that's why I have to respond. Mr. Fisher mentioned some questions, I mentioned some math. Mr. Fisher, you've known me for a long time. You know, like you, I need to see the math. Didn't say it was a deal breaker, didn't say anything changed. But like anybody else, I need to see numbers. And I didn't say speaking for the board, I said speaking for myself personally as a board member, I need to see those numbers. All right? So that would, because that's what I want to see as a board member.
Is it a deal breaker?
I don't know until I see the numbers.
Mrs. Melnick, it's not so much that we have to put things into a very black and white situation. Like the New Jersey School Board representative said, nobody has ever done this before. So for us to just say, oh, it's a deal breaker, that would be irresponsible as a board. I want to know the numbers. I want to know specifically specifically what is coming to us, who is coming to us. If we were just to say yes blindly, I am not doing my job as a board member. And I think I could also point out that other people would feel the same way. So as a deal breaker, you're not going to pigeonhole us into that comment, but I'm going to be a very respectful and very thought-provoking board member before I do say yes. And I think we just have to be more of a team-oriented approach to this and not be nitpicking everything where we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this process.
I don't understand this is the previous board, the term nitpicking. If someone has a question, healthy discourse is okay. Okay, healthy discourse is okay. We understand what the previous boards did as well and the hard work they put in. Okay, and once again, I said at the first meeting, a healthy discourse is a good thing. While we're talking about math and numbers, that also has to do with what the heck are the two municipalities doing in their part of the job. Public comment, sir, please, your name and address.
Hey, good evening, Chris Lucas, 61 East Garfield Avenue. Some of the stuff I wanted to mention was actually just part of this discussion, but I'd say a couple of things. First, Justin asked a question earlier about learnings from other schools that have gone through the strategic planning process, and there was a comment made that we actually did one 5 years ago. So I'm interested, one is, was regionalization with Seabright part of that strategy? Okay, so we should go back and maybe think about, so there's learnings we should have from that, right, to inform the next strategic plan. So I want to put that out. But more than anything, I've been attending these meetings and council meetings for the past few years following the regionalization journey, and it's been quite a ride. And the most frustrating thing for me as a resident of Atlantic Highlands is the silent minority seems to have a very loud voice here. So in any forum it appears that the majority of people are very much in favor of Seabright Island. And when I think about the how and the what and the how, our hope, I think, with this board elected, that at least we'll get a majority who will think Seabright's a good idea. And then we'll basically ask Tara and the attorney as the how to make it happen. I must say, Mrs. Knotts was very disappointed with the update, which is we're waiting for to hear. And no one's going to hand us this opportunity, right? It started with the budget challenges we had, budgeting at 75%. So that means money would be a good thing. If there's another opportunity to bring another district in and infuse some money, that would be great. As far as I know, there's no one else waiting. And Seabright's not going to be around in 3 years while we take our time doing it. So I just implore, if we don't want to do it, we should say it and move on. But I get the sense we want to do it, but no one's leaning into it and being proactive. And it's going to go away. This board has a chance to make a difference and leave a legacy, and I hope you guys do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Beams, you wanted to clarify something on that for Mr. Lucas?
So I just want to clarify something, because this is something that is really, really important, and this is not opinion, and this is fact. It was in our study, our financial experts have said this over and over again, and this is a really, really important thing, and that's why any expenditures that we would have to expend are important, these questions that were asked. There is no money coming into the school district with a merger with Seabright. So they do not bring any revenue. It is simply, they do not bring any revenue into the school district. There is no mechanism for that because they are not a school district. So, because they don't bring any revenue in, they don't have their own budget. Their budgets are West Shore Regional and Oceanport, right? So nothing comes into the actual schools. It's just the way that the taxes are apportioned. So when we talk about, we will have definitely expenses going out without revenue coming in. So these questions are important for us to get answers to so we can see the impact that those expenses going out, like out-of-district special education costs, transportation costs, things like that, that are very expensive right now in the state of New Jersey. We pay almost $3 million for our own students of Highlands and Atlantic Highlands to go to out-of-district placements between their tuitions and their transportation. So when you add to that, but then there's no revenue coming in, And there is a potential, because of the way that state aid is formulated in the state of New Jersey, that we could lose more money, but we won't know that to evaluate all of that. So that is a big piece, but I want to make clear that there is, so when we talk about 75% of funding or 25% being cut or something like that, we won't recoup that from this situation, which is why those questions are important, just for us to look at from a financial standpoint. And then the other outstanding financial piece is, what would that tax apportionment be? Because as stated multiple times in the original study done and then reviewed by the Atlantic Highlands Council, and then our study, there is no apportionment right now that is positive for Atlantic Highlands without a sharing.
Dr. Green, I do want to stop you.
Yep.
Just on one part with that, all right, once again, that's right now as far as the apportions go, that's why I want the council to actually do their job, all right? We can talk about it all day long. You are correct right now with that analysis. However, that's up to them to work out, not the Seabright and that region stands right now. And until, we need to do the math, plain and simple. And until Highlands and Atlantic Highlands get together and at least say they're willing to work together and try to figure something out, we'll be wasting our time working on it. If it's DOA at one of the municipalities, then what are we even doing right now? That's basically it. If it's DOA at one of the municipalities, then why are we even sitting here arguing and taking the heat as a Board of Education, both the current board and the previous boards? All right? Because as of right now, we could say tomorrow, whoop-de-doo and go gung-ho, and then it could be dead in one of the municipalities.
I would just, Richard, last comment I leave is that just, it doesn't feel our superintendent is behind this. Your actions, your manners, your question, your response.
Mr. Lewis, can you get closer to say that?
Sorry, I was just saying, based on what I've heard, and what you just hear, it doesn't feel the superintendent is invested in making this happen.
And one more thing, to be perfectly honest with Mr. Lucas, even if she is not vested and was completely and totally against it, even if she said, I don't want to do this, it's up to the other 9 people at this table, all right? And for the sounds of it, those 9 people also need to, she can be completely against it, but the actual decision is made by these 9 people with the help of the 2 municipalities. All right, plain and simple. She can be fully and totally against it. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, everyone has an opinion. They're like ears, everyone has it.
And that's my observation.
Thank you. Yep.